Good morning to you. Happy Thursday to you. So, I was thinking, and this is a very serious consideration for the Democrats. Like I said, I have no loyalty to either side, but I have a very strategic mindset. So, if I were playing the political chess game, I would be thinking how I would move on both sides, right? So Kamala Harris, right now, her race, her identity is on the table of conversation, right? The Democrats, and I've said this before, they should not have sold her as a black woman. They should have just sold her for who she was. They should not have appropriated her to a black woman because really it is a stab at actual foundational black American women for you to prop this immigrant woman, someone who actually benefited from the struggles and challenges of actual legacies of Black Americans to be here, for them to prop her as if she's one of us. And I think that's where a lot of people don't understand this complicated conversation about racial identity. And to the point of the white supremacists, right? You do have to preserve some level of your culture and tradition and experiences because other people are ready to come and leech off of them. Okay, so Kamala Harris is an immigrant that has benefited from the struggles of foundational Black Americans. We have to make this point clear because even some Black people are a little confused because they've been manipulated into believing that every Black looking person is an actual Black American, right? And they're not. And this is not about racism, right? This is about cultural appropriation and cultural delineation, right? And I think that groups of people have a right to have cultural delineation. And so, what has happened with Black culture in America is that they've had all these Black looking people, immigrants, come into this country, and then they blanket them all as Black. And many of these people reject that because it's like, even though they're coming to America for opportunities. They're not coming to America for the culture, right? I mean, a lot of times they'll get immersed in the culture anyways. But for the most part, they're coming to America for the opportunities. They're not coming to America to be associated with Black people or to be immersed with Black people. They are coming to America for the opportunities. And so, when you think about loyalty to America when it comes to Black looking people, right? You can get loyalty from immigrants because obviously maybe they have fantasized about this country, they see the opportunities, but to me, real loyalty to America is going to come from your Tariq Nasheed type of Black people who understand that their ancestors were a part of building the greatness of this nation, right? Their ancestors were disenfranchised gravely, even up into this day. Descendants, right, are still disenfranchised, even though Black Americans have contributed to this country. Whether as slaves or freemen, we have contributed to the progress of this country. And I think that these things are very notable. You have to note these things when you start looking at how the Democrats continuously, prop these ambiguous looking people as Black people, right? And try to cosplay them into the Black culture as chameleons. And then where Kamala is really getting a lot of the heat is that she played along. It's like Mindy Kaling, that girl from The Office, her brother, right? Tried to get into a school, right? Couldn't get in as an Indian guy, shaved his head and cosplayed as a Black guy and was able to get in and was able to pretend like he was a Black guy, right? There are a lot of posers in the United States. There are a lot of cosplaying people who try to act like a chameleon, try to act like they're something that they're not. Like, if there is white privilege in this country, there's also a notion of black privilege, right? Because a lot of these people can cosplay as black people to try to get some advantage from black people. And it's so funny because I'm still kind of perplexed as to why black people are always a priority in these political cycles, right? They never center on the Asians like that. They never really center on the Hispanics. It's really always the black vote. It's always the black vote, the black allegiance that these people are after. And to me, I'm like, well, even on the Hispanic side, you have diversity, right? Neither one of those parties really have Hispanic people on lock, yet they are constantly trying to cosplay to black Americans. They're constantly doing that. And people need to start asking why and who and why. I mean, seriously, who and why they are constantly doing these things. So I think that when it comes to Kamala Harris's vice president pick, because that's the conversation right now, because they've done all this cosplaying to the black community, if this woman picks anybody but a black man to be her VP, she's done. I personally believe she is done, right? Because, like I said last night, her being a part of that HBCU contingency, right? Being around that whole contingency, her being a light-skinned woman, I'm sorry, right? Her husband shouldn't be anything but melanated. If she was really just immersed and down and attached to the black culture like that, being in that HBCU group, she should be married to a Boyce Watkins. For real. I mean, for real. She, a man that looks similar, stature, banker, something like that, a black man, she should be married to if she was authentically a part of that HBCU proper. Not saying that people from HBCUs don't interracially date, but not cosplaying like she's cosplaying. I'm sorry. And I know a lot of black fraternity individuals, and they're married to black people. They are actually married to black people. Very rarely do I meet somebody who is affiliated with an HBCU, has pledged in one of those historically black fraternities or sororities, and they're married to something that's not that. And people just need to just understand how people and things work, and that's how you're going to be able to weed through the BS, okay? Because Kamala Harris has Indian heritage, and her father is, I believe, biracial, but with some Jamaican in him. Okay, Jamaicans are not Black Americans. Jamaicans are not Black Americans. They're not. They're immigrants. They are people who have benefited from the struggles and challenges and the fights of African Americans. So I think if people really understood just the in-depth aspects of these arguments, they understand why there are many Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, who are rejecting not just Kamala Harris being propped to us, but rejecting the manner in which she's being propped to us. And I think that's the more confusing and perplexing thing for a lot of people. Kamala Harris needs to pick a Black vice president, or she's pretty much done. And she also needs to play her strategic cards, right? Because I do feel like she's the Democrat fall guy. They're going to look at their failures, and they're going to have a Black looking face that they have cosplayed as a Black person to basically justify their failures if Trump wins. I really do believe she's the fall guy. She really is. I think she was always going to be that play. And then that way, you know, they play into this DEI BS or whatever. I haven't seen anything Kamala has really taken charge of, but run her mouth on some talking points that somebody told her. So I think she's going to be done. I think Kamala Harris is going to be done. I think her last rites of chance in at least attracting the black vote is to get a black man, not even a black woman, a black man as her VP. Kamala Harris needs a black man, not a Jewish man, a black man to be her VP, or it's not going to work for her. I'll talk to you guys later. I'm so passionate about this, but this is my take. This is my take. We're looking at this straight from the streets. Straight from what people on the streets are saying, not from people's feelings or hopes and dreams or ignorances. This is word from the streets, okay? Right? You already see how everything is playing out. This is just straight common sense at this point. If she chooses a Jewish or white vice president, she's done. She's done. There's no way you're going to cosplay to black people like that and not pick a black man as your VP.